Just grab the mic.
Grab that mic, put that thing nice and close to them lips.
Welcome to another episode of Bussin with the Boys, our spring tour. Chevrolet. We got to shout out the boys at Chevrolet. No free shout outs to Chevrolet, specifically the Silverado EV. Chevy is a trusted company that has been innovating for the last 100 years. Up to now, most electric vehicles have been either too expensive, too small, and too limited in capabilities for most people. Chevy is committed to making EVs available for all Americans. There is a growing network of public charging stations, and there are over 1,900 certified Chevy EV dealerships. Chevy has convenient ways to research and shop EVs online. EVs for everyone, everywhere. This is an absolute pleasure. We have head coach of Chaparral, right?
Chaparral, Coach Charlie Ragle was head coach Chaparral, maybe the most winningest coach in Chaparral history.
But the head coach of Chaparral when you were in school. That's why this is important.
Right.
We get to, if anybody who listened to the Dave Ziegler interview, you can check that one out. We sat on with the Raiders GM. This is the same bloodline, basically, not genetically, but you know what I mean.
I'm with you.
That Taylor came from. So I assume this is going to be a great storytelling podcast between you two.
Yeah, so just background, man. I was my junior year, my freshman through junior year, I'm playing nose tackle. And Chaparral High School, Scottsdale, it's a lot of money in that school. A lot of resources at Chaparral. They come up to Cave Creek and fucking donkey us. Now, Trace Carroll, his dad was just a guy I played with for like 1 year on like Pop Warner. Comes up to my dad and I was like, hey, what are you doing with Taylor? My dad's like, what do you mean? He's just trying to play football, hopefully get a scholarship. And he's like, I think you need to have a meeting. So he goes and sits down with Ragle. And I don't know what happened at that meeting, but I would love to hear that conversation you had.
Well, let's back up because first of all, that was junior year. We go up to Cactus Shadows, and it's up about a good 20-minute drive from the Dale. And we're playing Cave Creek. And all I know is they've got this really big, good-looking guy, and they're playing him at nose tackle. The thing I remember most about that game is that there was a really bad cornerback. and this is great coaching right here. I said to my OCs up in the box before the game kicks off, I said, hey, Dave, Mike Cummings, we had a really good receiver. I said, he's covering this guy. You just throw it to this guy all night long. And we went for 12 catches, 250 yards, 4 tugs, 60 points on the board. The D tackle was a non-factor.
D-tackle was a non-factor. I wasn't even a player you would look at and be like, we got to block. Make sure we block this guy.
He was big. He was long, good looking. And so fast forward to the spring of
that 2008.
2008, right? Yeah, 08. And guess I could say this now. I had a breakfast with his dad, which is illegal, I suppose. But yeah, what the hell? And there's got to be a statute of limitations on that, doesn't there? So we met and just talked about the potential. We had a really good defensive end. Was Taylor's teammate Craig Rowe at.
That's right. Craig Rowe.
Craig was a 4.0 student. Had every offer in the country as a junior.
Yeah.
So going into that spring, you knew that our place was going to be packed with dudes, coaches coming through, and Taylor's dad knew that, and he thought, man, this is the opportunity for Taylor to get seen. And
now, did you pitch to him to move to offensive line versus nose tackle?
Well, when I saw him, I was just like, man, look, this guy's a no-brainer offensive tackle. Like, I mean, you look at him, he's athletic, how he bends. It was like, this is. And at the time, our offensive line coach was in his early 70s. Ron Hibenek was retired, had played at USC, coached at SC, was a long-time offensive line coach for the Patriots way back in the day. And so I'm just like, this makes so much sense for this guy to play offensive line. And I just told his dad, if we can get him there and he does what he needs to do, he's going to blow up. I hadn't seen the transcript yet. Let me preface that.
Brother, it was bad.
I don't know that he went to school for the first 2.5 years when I saw that thing. Man.
It was bad.
Bad.
My freshman year, like the first semester, I failed 3 classes. And then my second semester, I failed 4. So I failed 7 classes my freshman year of high school.
Yeah, it's tough. That's
no bueno, as they say.
South
of the border. And so my man here was rocking into Shaptown with a 1.6 GPA. And but back then, the NCAA, right? Life's about timing, as we all know. And back then, you could replace as many classes as you wanted to. There was no rule on how many classes as there is now. So I told my man, hey, it's time to go to work. We're gonna change the face of your landscape, and that's exactly what we did. A lot of credit to a lot of people, and he left with a 2.6 GPA, and there was probably 40 plus Power 5 Division I schools that came through that spring, and credit to Tony Dews.
Yeah,
You guys all know Dews.
Dews out
And
there in
Dews,
Tennessee.
Dews believed me when I told him, like, we're going to get this dude right. Like, we will get this guy qualified. You just got to trust me on that. And so Dews stayed, because everybody came to see Craig. And obviously Craig was a hot commodity and a really good player as well. But everybody was asking about Taylor, and then you show them the transcript and they're like, good talk, coach. And so my man pounded some work out. Again, a lot of resources and a lot of help. And, a few months later, my man is rocking at 2.6 and he's on his way to go blue.
Yeah, it was a wild glow up. Like I told you a little bit about it. Like we played those first 2 games, and that's like where I got all my scholarship offers off. Is just I put those on film, and then they went, and then like he said, like the bunch of coaches would come, and like Harbaugh was at Stanford, and he came, he saw my transcript and literally laughed out loud. It was like, there's literally nothing we can do here. Yeah. And left. Like Wisconsin did the same thing.
So here's a great story. You're gonna love this. He comes with his dad to get registered for school. We see this guy really like walking across campus. It's the first time I really laid eyes on him other than in the uniform in the game. I'm looking at my offensive coordinator, and we're kind of like in a off back in a room, and he's walking across the campus. And I'm just like, man, look at this dude. Freak. Like, that's a left tackle. So I tell Rod, and again, Rod's old school, man. And we had a kid that had started at left tackle for us, really good high school player. And
Ethan Lewis.
Brown
Bear.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I say, Rod, we're going to move Ethan to right tackle. This is going to be our left tackle. And he was pissed. He fought me on it. We've got a left tackle. I said, no, man, this is a left tackle. And so he comes on campus and he says, I'll never forget this. He goes, I just got one question for you. He said, Coach, like, I don't even know if you're going to remember this, but he goes, when you guys played me, I was playing the nose tackle. Did you have to double and triple team me?
That's a tough look.
Hey, he still ask questions like that.
I said, let me tell you something. We had to create a whole game plan against you. I said, we were doubling, tripling. Hell, at one point, we just wedged the whole thing at your ass. We couldn't stop you. Complete lie, as I told you the front end of the story. Yeah. And he looks at his dad. Let's go get me signed up.
So fucking
facts.
Yeah, it's so funny.
That's how the Taylor Lewan era started at Shaptown, USA. And then once he got on the field, man, like I love this guy because he's never forgot where he's come from. You know what I mean? And he's just a genuine dude. Like it's rare in your life to coach someone of his ability, but just he approaches life kind of how I see it. I got a real fiery personality, and it's either, I'm either in fifth gear or I'm parked. You know what I mean? And it's all in. And that's how he approached it on the field and off the field. He was an instant fan favorite. He was an instant the students loved him, man. But it was how he played the game with just a relentless, and I mean, like the dude just played balls to the wall, and there's no substitute for that. And obviously, once he put the stuff on tape, it was a wrap. And then once we got the grades where they needed to be, everybody came slinging those offers.
Yeah, was it basically like they saw the first 2 games or whatever, and everybody's basically lined up, and then it just came down to the transcript?
Yes. I mean, once he was on tape,
started.
The transcript was so bad in the spring that people were scared away from it. But once he put the stuff on tape, it was too good for people not to come back and check back in. And then they saw, oh, man, he's making that progress.
Yeah.
But then Dews had stayed the course, man, and stayed consistent with me. And then obviously with Taylor's dad's background in the Big Ten and having the affinity for that, obviously he could tell you the rest of that why he chose Michigan. But it was everybody, man. Everybody and their mom wanted this dude. It's been fun, like, to sit here and see all of this, man. And like it's an emotional for me because how much I love this dude, but it's also just a testament to how hard he's worked and just life, man. You never know. It's crazy.
Yeah, man. Does that make you feel good?
Yeah, it makes you feel good.
Yeah.
It's one of those when you take a compliment, you just got to kind of receive it.
I know,
and just kind of sit there and take it because it's tough to get complimented.
It's cool to hear though, because he's somebody who obviously was part of that big process for you and pivot in your life.
And I remember like you remember, like, you look back on high school now and you realize like how like not big of a deal. Like you made it up in your head because you were so zoomed in on high school. Like we like Ragle was always good to me, man. Like I didn't get in, like, by the time I got to like my senior year, I wasn't getting in like trouble like I was in the beginning, but like I could have done pretty much whatever the fuck I wanted and he had my back. But we had a couple of times we played Saguaro and I fucking do. It was like going into half and it was like 7-0. And Dwayne Garrett, our running back, who you met Dwayne at dinner last fall, he makes this diving catch in the back of the end zone. And Dwayne can't fucking catch. You can literally throw it to him 10 times, he's gonna drop it 6 of them, just straight up. He makes this and like crazy catch. I get a face mask call. It gets called back. We end up losing the game.
I remember you guys talked about it that
We were
that day at dinner.
7-7 at half.
Yeah.
Totally changed the
And Spore had like 8 dudes going D1.
I mean, that rivalry's nasty. There's 10,000 people there. It's unbelievable. Me and the coach got a great feud going too. Like it's everything was built up to be. And we score. It's going to be 7-7. We're going to go on the half tide. And that lost all the momentum for us right there. You know, we got the face mask. But my man was doing blindside before there was blindside. He was putting kids. We're out at Apache Junction one night, all right, on a Friday night. My guy's putting dudes on roller skates and putting them out in the tumbleweeds. I mean, way out. And the thing is this guy was not shy about sharing his opinion with the officials, which as a coach, you know, that's obviously not what I want.
Yeah.
And so, like, the coach throws a flag. He's got this literally dude on the track. I mean, and the ref comes to me and says, look, man, that's just unnecessary roughness. He's got this kid 50 yards down the field. And I said, well, what do you want me to do, man? Like, I can't tell my guy stop blocking him. That's not what we preach in this program. So I just said, I'm going to take the 15. And so he comes, get his ass off the field. I got to talk to him. I bring him over there. Here comes the official. Do you remember the ref?
Yeah, I remember. Yeah.
This guy's like,
he called it excessive blocking.
Yeah. And reaching in his pocket. He's like, how much are you getting paid for this?
Yeah, to the ref.
Goes ham, throws another flag. I'm like, shut up. And that's what I loved about him, though, man, is the dude was just, he had that passion and that intensity that made him elite. And that's what it was. Like, he is obviously physically gifted. He could run, he could bend with his length, which is rare. But it was the mentality and the passion that he brought to the field every day and off the field too that has gotten him where we are today.
It was a cool deal, man.
Yeah, it's fucking
sick,
man.
Bring it back to ASU. Like, you've been in a lot of places. You went to U of A, went over to Cal for a while, right?
5 years at Cal.
And then Idaho State.
Yeah, it was
for
the head coach
just a nice cup of coffee as a head coach.
12 months.
Yeah.
And, and then obviously, bringing it all back with Coach Ziegler, and I coached Coach Dillingham that first year. So he came my second year. So that first year, Kenny was a senior and got hurt and was going to hang up the cleats. And so I got him, he was a smart young man. I just said, hey, man, we got to get this guy into some coaching, and that's how the process of his journey began. And, here we are now back here full circle in Tempe working for Kenny, man. It's and sitting here doing a podcast with you guys. It's pretty wild.
So you were a senior when Coach D was about to come in.
Coach D was a senior. He was still at Cactus Shadows.
Yeah, and so my junior, I transferred in spring break. Like, Cactus Shadows was going on spring break. Chaparral was off spring break, and I just took that weekend and then went to the new school.
Yeah.
And so their season was already done. I didn't even know Coach Dillingham at all.
Because he was a senior, but, he was hurt, couldn't play. I had this really sharp kid. His dad was a very intelligent lawyer that was on our booster club. I got to know his dad, and Kenny had come off some knee injuries, and I got to really build the relationship with Kenny. I'm like, man, this kid's pretty sharp. And I said, what are you going to do, man? And he's like, I think I'm just going to go to ASU, probably be a lawyer like my dad. And I was like, well, I don't really give a shit. What you can I say that on here? Yeah.
Oh yeah, he said shit, fuck everything.
Fucking cuss it up in here, bro.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I said, I don't really care what you do, in terms of your career, but I want you to come back here and coach. And that's how the Kenny D train started rolling out of Shaptown. And then my man joined the crew that spring after that spring break. And, here we are. Rest is history.
Well, what'd you see in, I was going to say Kenny, Coach
Dillingham.
Yeah.
You know what? The thing that I say about Coach Dillingham that is the most impressive is he's always been driven, even at that young of age. I tell the story that we were sitting around one time and we were in a staff meeting and he's the young, new kid, 18 years old. And he says, We were talking about why people do this, and I can't remember what the particular situation was. And he just pops up out of nowhere and just says, it really comes down to one thing, Coach Ragle. And I said, well, what's that? He's got, all it is, life. Life principle is the juice worth the squeeze? And I looked at this guy, and I'm like, pretty perceptive, especially in what we were talking about. And that dude was driven. Like from that point on, that quote stayed with me for whatever reason. And then I just watched him stay focused to what he wanted to do and achieve his goals. And to get here at the age of 32 years old and be where he's at, man, that takes a resolve. That's, young people, and you guys are young, man. It's hard to stay that course with the temptations and the things that come with the success. To stay driven and that goal oriented tells you a lot about what he is.
Oh, really? Do you can just tell by listening. You're the speech giver,
brother. I told you before we even walked in here. Like this,
but he seems like the fucking.
I got to know. One more thing before we go. When you're playing Morena, the first game, senior year, and you gave a speech about your dog, and you're throwing the ball, and the dog dies.
The dog died.
Is that a real story?
That really happened.
No shit.
The dog was Harley, man. Purebred lab. My wife had it before we got together. We're out Labor Day weekend. We'd come from practice, had come home. It's midday. Took the dog out to the park. Was throwing the ball, and the dog collapsed. It just collapsed.
How are you funneling that into a pregame
talking
speech?
About no matter what you do in life, man, you do it till the wheels come off. Like you've got to be so ingrained in the passion and in the process. You run till the end. It's like you run till the end, man. There's no limit. Like you got to be all in or all out, and that's the only way that you really achieve greatness. Most people will never understand that.
Hey, you can tell. Boy.
Hey, he's got the fucking juice.
Roger, I'm gonna come to Vegas, Nashville, and sit on the bus at some point.
Hell yeah, brother! You are invited.
Glad you're here. Spring game. Go Devils. Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
awesome.
man.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's go do this.